Hello and welcome to match 4 of the Dominion League Season 16 here. This is against Steph, who I believe won the championship last season. So this is going to be a tough game, and this first game is an absolute slugfest. So strap in for the long haul. Looking at the board, I see Young Witch right away, and you look for trashing or ways to deal with it. There's none. There's no trashing. So you have to look at the Bane now and see, well, how good is the Bane? Is it going to be terrible? Is it going to be very good? I think Guide is pretty bad as far as Banes go because it isn't always in your deck. It stays on your tavern mat and then you have to call it to get it back in your deck. So I thought the Bane was kind of bad, so that pushed me away from opening Young Witch and Bane. And well, the other option was Warehouse and Young Witch to play that Young Witch more often, but then if I play Warehouse and follow it up with a Young Witch, I won't have a lot of money, probably $3 max, and I want to hit 5 to get to that Royal Carriage. I was entertaining thoughts of building some kind of engine with Haunted Woods and Farming Village and maybe a Merchant Guild. Maybe string together something with these cards, I don't know. But that's what I wanted to do, so I opened with the Silver and the Young Witch. My opponent goes for the Bane, the Guide, and the Young Witch here. So seeing my opponent go for the Young Witch, I decide to become defended, especially seeing as how my opponent is going for defense as well. I don't want to be the only one without defenses. The curses are a pretty big factor in this game because there's no way to get rid of it. My opponent is gifted here with a nice $5 hand and picks up a Royal Carriage, which is what I would pick up on my first 5 here in an attempt to try to double hex my opponent. So I'm able to block the first Young Witch here, which is excellent, especially after not opening with the Bane. So I'm very happy about that. Also the Royal Carriage early when you have less guides has a much better chance of landing that double curse. So I like the Royal Carriage and is what I was looking for with my Young Witch Silver opening. Unfortunately, you have to open Guide and Young Witch for that to happen, right? No, that's just me joking a bit here. Anyways, I'm able to land a curse in my opponent's deck and he returns the favor right away here. However, I am able to get up to 6 here. A choice between the gold, to be honest, and the Royal Carriage, but I want the Royal Carriage now because there are a lot of curses still left in this game. So here, this game is littered with these decisions. When to call Guide? Do I call Guide on this hand? Do I play my Guide and try to go for the Young Witch? I tried to look for the Young Witch, but I don't find it. Instead, I just find a Royal Carriage, and I'm able to put that aside, which is good. So now you've noticed we are buying guides furiously here. We don't want the curses in our deck, obviously. Here I have to trigger this shuffle to try to curse my opponent. Hopefully it goes through, so the triggered shuffle isn't in vain, but no such luck, and I'm not going to call the Royal Carriage here to play this Young Witch again. There's no point, I think, because my opponent can block, so he'll just block twice. Anyways, the guides are going very quickly, very quickly here in an attempt to be galvanized, protected from the Young Witch's attack. So this is the first part of the game, alright? We have a Young Witch each, we have a Royal Carriage each. If we had more Royal Carriages, it would be great. And we're buying guides as fast as we can. So here my opponent lands the first double hex and puts me behind on the curse split for the first time in the game. So I am not pleased to see that at all. This decision with the guide is very easy. And I'm really not happy to have to play these 3 guides in a row here. It means there's very few guides, if any at all, in the remaining 15 or so cards of my deck. So it's roughly 3 turns, that is. I'll be vulnerable. Here I pick up the last guide. Again, I think I end up winning that guide split 6-4 or something like that. Probably not more than 6-4, so that's good for me. But even with that guide split, my curses are more than my opponent. Well, there's still time in the game. Maybe I can level up the curse split later on. So here again, my opponent just tries to hex me with that young witch. Not a lot is going on. We aren't buying quite a few things here. We aren't buying, nice things anyway. One difference so far is that my opponent has a secret chamber, which I quite like the buy of, and the reason why I like it is because you can trigger it in response to Young Witch's attack, and it can help you to find your Bane that way. I think my opponent did that one time to me, play the secret chamber and then reveal the Bane. So I don't know if they found the guide of the secret chamber, if they had it in hand, but either way, it helps to defend somewhat against the Young Witch. Additionally, secret chamber has another use in this game, and you'll see it later on. My opponent shows me, and then I realize I need to get one of these cards. Anyways, for coin hand here, no guides to buy, so what do, right? I can go for a second silver, but instead I opt for the gear at this point. So gear is draw, but gear is an extremely versatile card, allowing you to set aside things, and it allows you to control, you know, shuffles, that allows you to control how much money you can get on your next turn. It's extremely versatile, and rarely it looks innocuous, just draw two, set aside up to two things, but it's quite powerful for its cost. So I pick up the gear here, trying to, maybe save a couple coppers one turn and then get a $5 hand the next turn. Also it's draw, so again still in line with my engine idea. I just have this gear and the Young Witch as my only terminals in the deck, so I felt reasonably safe playing that gear. Gear is really like half a terminal, right? Because it stays out of the deck like it did this turn. I was able to get up to 5 there, and I pick up another Royal Carriage, so quite happy about that. Here I'm not defended, so hoping not to see the Young Witch. Guess what? Young Witch appears and I get hexed twice here, so really not looking good on the curse split here. The curses are significant. It hinders your development, prevents you from getting to 5. Luckily my opponent I don't think has reached 5 since that turn 3/5 copper hand, and on 4 here is going to pick up a silver, presumably to try to get to 5 more often. So here, the gear here, I realize at this point that the gear can work well with the Young Witch, because you can store two things, and then in your next hand when you see the Young Witch, it can help filter through some junk. So my opponent blocks that Young Witch again. There you see the secret chamber followed by the Bane card, so not sure if that is relevant at all. So here my finger was scratching me to buy this Haunted Woods because it was in my mind for the whole game. Although it's not good on this board, man. Guide can just undo everything that the Haunted Woods does. So I sort of figure that out at some point, and I just pick up another Royal Carriage here. Merchant Guild is an option, but I don't really want the guild. I find the carriage to be far more valuable than the guild. Again, I am denied entry. My curses are denied entry into Steph's deck here. I don't know why his customs and immigration is so strict and thorough and rigid. Just let me in, man. Just let some purples into your deck. Anyways, just come up. I call the Royal Carriages there because I wanted to buy something. I just had $1 after playing one Royal Carriage, so I just called them. Even though the attack wouldn't go through, I wanted money to be able to buy things, and I pick up another gear. So here my opponent gets the secret chamber out and comes up with $6, which is a lot of money, and goes for a gold. So signaling intent for more money strategy here. This warehouse, right? So the reason for this warehouse. I have a couple gears on my deck, right? And no villages, and the Young Witch has terminals. So if I could call Royal Carriage on the warehouse, not the best target, in no way is it the best target, but if I can, then I'll get plus actions and I can play like 2 gears or gear followed by Young Witch. So that's the reason for the warehouse. In addition, it helps to, get rid of bad cards, find your good cards, that kind of thing. So I thought it was reasonable-ish, maybe. But that's why I picked up the warehouse there. Going for more silver here, I need some money to get to 5. This rally, we've just been, for the most part, just spinning top in mud, as we say. Not really crossing that $5 threshold too often and not doing too much with the decks otherwise. So my opponent plays their gear here, and the Royal Carriage comes out with the gear, so this is going to be quite good. Getting to set aside a maximum of 4 cards and still coming up with 5. So that goal coming into play right away for my opponent, which is, obviously good for them. Obviously good for them. They pick up a Royal Seal, and that confused me. I wouldn't pick up Royal Seal, especially in the middle of the game. Royal Seal seems to be like an early game kind of card when you want to build and top deck things. I guess if you wanted money, Royal Seal is just strictly better than silver, so why not? But there was carriage to buy. You could just get another carriage if you like. I much prefer the carriage, but then again, I'm trying to build the engine, right? That isn't going well at all. Like, in no way is that going well. I should probably abandon these plans. Anyways, so this is the trick I was, not trick, but this is what I was talking about earlier on with the secret chamber, right? So my opponent stored a bunch of cards with the gear, Royal Carriage on the gear. Then the secret chamber comes out, it discards all of them, comes up with 8 for province. How good is that? How good is that? And immediately after seeing that, I say, okay, I'm going to buy a secret chamber now, because if I don't, I'm going to lose this game slowly. So I pick up the secret chamber, and in fact, actually, more than one secret chamber, to be honest. And I will pick up more than one. I didn't pick up more than one. I don't have any plus buy. And here you see the thing I'm talking about with the Royal Carriage and the warehouse, allowing me to play 2 terminals here, which is a gear, which I call twice, and I save a bunch of cards, and then the Young Witch, allowing me to buy another secret chamber. So hopefully now this is the shape the decks are gonna take, right? You set aside a bunch of Royal Carriages as much as possible, and then wait for your gear to come around, play your gear, store a lot of cards, and hopefully find your secret chamber the turn after to discard all those cards for province. As you know, that is the only way you're buying province in this game, and it is what our decks eventually boil down to. So did I make a terrible mistake? I thought I had 2 actions, but I didn't, so I played the Young Witch, and I just threw away a province there. I felt sick after doing that. Felt horrible after doing that. But anyways, I mean, you have to play the game still from there, right? So I kept on going. I was able to get a province the turn after, which I'm happy about, obviously. Keeping par with my opponent. And here I finally lose the curse split. All the curses are finally gone. Finally losing that curse split 6-4. Very late into the game. But yeah, not happy about that, obviously. Now it's more of a points differential than anything else. So my opponent picked up a Merchant Guild at some point, which is I find was a good buy, is reasonable. I would do it, but I much prefer the Royal Carriage. Anyway, so there you see the Merchant Guild, and they make use of all 3 buys. They're going for a couple of secret chambers and a gear. Now for the majority of this game, I think I had more gears and more secret chambers. Not secret chambers, more gears and more Royal Carriages. Because you remember in the middle of there, my opponent went for like gold and Royal Seal, and I went for the carriages head on. So I think that's the main difference in our decks through the middle of the game here, and it allows me actually to set up this gear into secret chamber kind of thing a bit more frequently than my opponent. So here again you see the Merchant Guild come out, and my opponent used 3 buys again. So they have 6 coin tokens on their mat, which is a lot. 75% to province. So I have to be very, 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 very aware of that, and just be very watchful There are 3 secret chambers left, and my opponent can end the game if they find that Merchant Guild with a Royal Carriage. So I absolutely need to stay ahead of the point so that my opponent cannot pile me out on secret chambers, which I'm trying to do as best as possible here. So here this gear finds me 2 secret chambers, which isn't great, but if I can store the second one on the other turn, we'll be okay. And this is an incredible hand for this game. Farming Village, Gear, Royal Carriage, Silver. That is amazing. That is amazing. Guarantees me province this turn for sure, but my opponent on the other side is coming up with a lot. I was so happy to not see Merchant Guild there. That would have been a sure double province for my opponent and probably would have knocked me out of the game at that point. But nope, no Merchant Guild, so hooray. Just a single province for my opponent, and I'm able to get a province of my own here. Here I make another misplay. I should have saved money here so that this other secret chamber could probably get me to province, but I miscounted. I somehow thought 10 was 8. Could have saved $2 there and made the secret chamber have a much better chance of getting me to another province on the trot, because my opponent is only able to duchy here, spending coin tokens. I'm keeping track of you and your coin tokens. I need to. I absolutely need to. I just need to know your maximum potential for buying things and play accordingly. So here I'm only going to get a duchy here. I do not want to take that province yet. And I don't think I could have anyway. But I'm just going to take the duchy here and be a little bit conservative, try to see if my opponent uses a bit more coin tokens, makes the province buy a bit less likely from them, and they do. They push a couple coin tokens there to get a duchy. All I can do here is buy an estate. Very bad to see 2 of my 3 secret chambers there. However, I see the gear and the secret chamber here, so I can set up for this province turn with the secret chamber next turn. So, and my opponent is going to do something similar here. I believe the gear comes out, and with 5 able to buy a duchy. So here going to play the gear and then call the royal carriage a couple of times just to save things. And if I could have bought a duchy here, I would have, but didn't find the money to. And here now I actually did find the money too, but I'm checking to see whether or not I can buy that duchy. I'm looking to see where my opponent's gold is, where their royal seal is, where their merchant guild is. I think they have the merchant guild saved somewhere in their hand, but they don't have the necessary money to come and finish the game on duchies. So this is what I'm calculating here, just to make sure I can take this third to last duchy so that my opponent cannot win on a couple duchies, I believe. So in the end, I figure, look, with the resources they have left, that gear and something else on the mat, they can't do it. I don't think my opponent could do it. They've seen the gold go by and the royal seal go by. That is the bulk of their money. They have the merchant guild, yes, but I don't think they can get 10 coin and come up with with the double duchy to win. Sorry. So that turns out to be a good calculation on my part, I believe, because my opponent is just able to pick up an estate, and here I am going to go for the province here. Unfortunately can't play this gear, but going to take the penultimate province at this point, and now that puts my opponent in a very, very precarious position. If they take the duchy, they risk losing on the duchies, and here I'm going to call this guide here because I'm trying to look for really just a secret chamber paired with a silver to buy the duchy. I think that's the quickest way for me to get the duchy. Alternatively, I can set up for my next turn for that big get into secret chamber thing, but nothing good comes of that there. Unfortunately, I passed up an estate at that point, but I calculated again. I didn't need the estate, I don't think, at that point, with the 7-point difference that I had here. Even if my opponent could go duchy estate, that wouldn't win, and the extra estate for me doesn't help me at that point. So I call the guide again to get rid of the estate hand. My opponent has bit of a long turn here and comes up with an estate, and now at this point I need to buy the estates just to stay ahead of the game. And fortunately for me, I find the secret chamber with a silver. So this has been a very long game. You see the turns in the 30s at this point here, but I'm able to come through with the victory here. So